And we're live. Good to see everyone on here tonight. Welcome to another Maniacs stream. I'm going to say now, small disclaimer, I apologise if my energy's not quite where it normally is. I was on nights last night. I've not had a lot of sleep. So I am very aware that my energy levels may be low. So I am topping that up with a nice can of Monster. And no, I'm not being paid to do this. So hopefully the Monster will do its thing and the energy will be there. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'll start bringing some guests in. And my first guest, you all know him, massive Sega fan, also a Specky fan, and that is Sega Zombie. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Yeah, make sure you drink plenty of that Monster, mate. We don't want you falling asleep tonight, especially when they're talking about Amstrad and Commodore. I can understand you might fall asleep then.
Who was it who did that before on a stream? Fell asleep? Was it UK Crowd? I think it was UK Crowd.
Yeah, there's been a few. There's been a few over the years, I think.
Yeah, no, I hope they don't know. The problem is, though, I'm going to drink this, and then when I do actually want to go to sleep, I'm not going to be out. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So this could go the other way. We'll see. Right. Okay. Let's get our next guest in. And this guy's new to the Maniacs. I'm sure a lot of people in here will know him. And that is Steve, 8-Bit Retro ReFix.
How y'all doing?
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Looking forward to this. As people are probably already aware, your channel's a lot of it's about repairing stuff, isn't it? And I'm quite interested to hear some of the things that you're working on or whatever. I know from that point of view, I always like watching videos like that. So this is why I wanted to have you on, so we could get a bit of an insight on what you do on your channel and all that. So
yeah. I mean, I do a little bit on the channel, mostly repairing of things, mostly Commodores, some Spectrum, but I don't like to shout that too loud. You know?
Well, I mean,
the thing is, there's a lot more Commodores to repair than Spectrums, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, because they sold a lot more, didn't they? You know. No, it's mainly that side, but I do repairs on everything else from back in the 70s right up until today's PS5s, Series X's, and stuff like that. But some good stuff to show you anyway. Some pickups that I've got, and some nice stuff that's coming up that you'll all be able to purchase before long. We'll get into that a bit later on.
I don't think we have to ask where your loyalties lie. I mean, we can see this massive banner right behind your head. So
yeah, right across the neon lights. Yeah,
right.
That was my thing back in the day. It was Commodore. I mean, yours will have been Spectrum, and you know, other people's. They've all got their own niches, haven't they? They've all got their own nostalgia.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit for Spectrum because I did get one for a short time, but I didn't have it too long before upgrading.
Hold that, because we're going to get to that on the first topic.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, hold that. Right, let's get. Everyone knows this guy. Let's be honest, he's the king of top tens, and that is Paul OSG. How you doing, mate?
Good. Yeah, it's a bit cold out here in this shed, but
I was going to say it looks cold.
Oh, it is cold
there.
I do like that arcade machine.
I've got a little heater under here, but I'm not allowed that on.
Cool, yeah, that will cost you.
Oh yeah,
to have the winged monkeys flying out of the house after us.
These days you got to be rich to have the heating on, right?
Yeah.
Right, so we get our last guest in. Everyone will know this guy, and he's a massive Amstrad fan. I love watching his streams. His latest one, I believe he was playing. And how do you pronounce it? Is it Toki or Toki?
Toki, isn't it?
I don't know. He was playing it on the Amstrad though, and I enjoyed watching that. I was watching that while I was at work, or meant to be working, however you want to take that. And that is Xyphoe. How you doing?
All right, guys. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for having me in for the first time.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I've always called it Toki, but there was a massive argument on the stream, wasn't it? Yeah. We had a little vote and poll, and Toki won in the end.
I think you can call it what you want, can you?
Yeah.
It looked pretty impressive though. Like watching it run, it looked pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, it's not the best frame rate in the world, but compared to some of the more recent Amstrad stuff that's come out, but yeah, they've done a really good job on it. So yeah, I was really happy with it. Good old Toki on the Amstrad come out. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, I'm the token Amstrad guy tonight. So,
well, I mean, this is a thing that there is a topic about Amstrad that I'll get on to later on. But recently
Cool.
I picked one up myself, so I'm
Nice.
starting to look into the history of it more. You know, like so I'm learning things all the time. So yeah, and it is always good to get someone on that's an Amstrad fan like yourself.
Yeah, I've got a few in the background here. But just so you know, I'm actually having to Chromecast my own background here.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, this is actually my office, but behind me is a green screen because like I've just got a pile of crap behind me. I've got a tiny office, but this is actually the corner of my office. So this is actually just to me right of me here. So, but yeah, these are my Amstrads, and this is actually to the right of me here. So, so if you see my arms disappear, this is because I'm having to Chromecast. Behind me here is a wall of guitar cabs, like 4B12s and stuff, and a green screen just in front of it, wedged in behind a pile of boxes. So, so I'm having to Chromecast myself tonight here.
Well, to be honest with you, until you said that, I wouldn't have even noticed.
No, I've given it away now because every now and again my arms will just disappear like that. So. Anyway, yeah.
Right, okay, let's go through the comments quick so I can see that there's a few. Let's have a look.
Oh no, my missus is in the comments. Oh no, I'm going to get slagged off in there now. My missus is Kate White there. Hello, Kate.
Okay. I won't worry. My missus has stitched me up a few times on these, and she's got.
Yeah.
So we got Pixel Plug. How you doing, Pixel Plug? Retro Bait. Makes a change for him. He's actually watching it instead of being on it.
I was going to say, not on here.
Alex, you Star Gamer. How you doing? Don't know who this guy is.
Get him off. Kick
Some
him out.
Commodore fan.
Yeah, I'm dodgy Commodore guy.
So how you doing, mate? Glad you're on here. I can see that Martin, the Hobby Lodge, is here as well. Evening. Oh, and here we go. Al's missus. Oh, here we go. Look, Sire, how many monsters have you had? Actually, this is my first one, but I have got another one just in case. So the energy levels should be up there. I'm hoping.
Oh, that's Mrs. Xyphoe's favourite drink, the Silver Monster.
Yeah.
I've been at the supermarket this morning buying crates of that Silver Monster. Come home with like massive crates of that stuff for her.
Yeah. Does the job.
I'm sick of trying to get Prime. Sick of that. Kids, do you know, is there a craze for Prime down south as well for the kids and that? Or not?
For what?
Prime.
What is that?
Prime. It's like
we about Amazon Prime.
From KSI.
Oh,
like,
I know what one you're on about.
Oh,
Yeah,
in them green bottles, isn't it?
Well, there's loads of different bottles. My young one's been buying like empty bottles for £1 at school and that. Empty bottles of it.
Crazy,
Did you tell him we used to take them back to the shop and get 10 pence?
Yeah, I'll tell them to get any more money. That's what I tell them.
I bet they're a lot more expensive than things like this and all, just because it's KSI, I bet.
Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
People are paying like 20 quid and that for them online for a bottle of it. But it's only £2.50 in Asda if you can get it, but it's like supply and demand. Everybody's just buying it straight away.
It's just crazy.
Your boy is buying the bottles and filling it up with a cheap alternative and selling them on. Right?
I've caught him trying to do that.
Kids are going to any length. Right, so we've got GP. How you doing? Is this one of your guys, Al?
Yeah, cheeky GP.
I think he's one of everybody's guys, isn't he?
I've seen him in your chat a few times, so I'll say him. I'm presuming it's a he.
We're not quite sure what GP is.
I got Jamie. That's one of mine. Evening, Jamie. How you doing? My favourite tipple. Yep. Agreed. It is mine at the moment as well. Oh, so I wore already.
Jolly.
And Jamie again. Disgraceful behaviour from UK crowd. Oh, yeah, because we was talking about him falling asleep on the stream, weren't we?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Let's get into our first topic. Now, this one's going to be kind of dropping you, Steve, and Al into the deep end, I suppose, because I always like to ask new guests what got them into micros. And that can be the start, or, you know, when you got back into them later on, or just, you know, both, you know. So,
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
We'll go with Steve first.
Okay.
What got you into micros?
What got me into micros? Well, it started back in sort of like late 70s when I started on like the Philips G7000. Obviously, we all had Pong back then. But moved on to VIC 20.
Okay.
My mate wanted me to get a Spectrum, so I got one of them. But you know what Speckies can be like, trying to load games. You've got to get the tone right and the bass right and the volume right. And you can imagine like a bloody 8-year-old trying to do that. Well, my mum got sick of taking that back to the shop, so she ended up buying me a Commodore 64, which for me were a cracking move. But I do enjoy Spectrum. I do like that. I do like the Spectrum, and I do have quite a few computers.
Yeah.
Missing a few out of the collection, but it's mainly Commodore.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you ever like come out of micros for a time and then go back to it, or have you always?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I got to about 15 and school and girls and things like that started, and then you progress in relationships and end up married and settled down with kids and stuff like that. So computers go out a window. So it was probably early 90s, probably 1991-ish when I moved away from them and came back to computers around about 99, 2000.
Right.
Started collecting back at Retro probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I wish I'd started 10 years ago because I'd have had 3 times the amount that I have now. And that's not, I've got quite a bit now, if you know what I mean.
Would have been cheaper too.
It would, yeah. Hell yeah, a lot cheaper. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I've always had a passion for retro computers, always had a passion for arcade machines, anything video game wise.
What about Amiga, Steve? Was you into the Amiga?
I got an A500 in about 91. I didn't have it for too long because obviously my wife at the time ended up pregnant with a second child, so something has to go, doesn't it, at that time? And then
the wife and kids should have went.
That would be the answer these days. If you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I'd have stayed in the bedroom with my 64 and progressed with Commodore if I could have seen what were coming.
Yeah, hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, I got into repairing probably quite a long time ago when 360s were about. Obviously, all red rigger deaths and drive issues and stuff like that. And I worked for myself, and I worked for about 4 game shops looking after the consoles for repairs and things like that back then.
Yeah.
But once the Xbox One came out and the PS4, everything sort of dropped away then. So I decided, like, sod it, I'm going to go back to my roots and get back to the 8-bits and the Amigas. So yeah, I've got quite a massive collection now.
Yeah.
I've got something new coming up that I'll show you in a bit.
Cool. Look forward to it. Right. Al, what got you into micros?
Well, I mean, obviously everyone's going to know that my first computer was the Amstrad 464, but I think before that, first computer I'd ever seen was at a primary school, and before I mentioned that, like, the school I went to was actually a Catholic primary school, and it was like all the teachers were bloody nuns. So my first experience. Really? All right.
Yeah, I had the same thing. Yeah, I know.
Really? Yeah. I was the other one out there because my parents were like Church of England, like, you know, Protestant or whatever. So I was the only kid at the school there that wasn't Catholic, which was like freaking weird. Anyway, so that was a side story. But anyway, so my first experience was like the squeaky trolley being wheeled down the corridor. You hear the wheels squeaking, and you hear that noise. That meant like the BBC Micro was coming. I was like, oh, yes. Squeak, squeak. And I was like, that squeaky noise meant, oh, it's Granny's garden time. Yes. So that was my first experience, was the BBC Micro. So it was Granny's garden, or it was this terrible like farming simulator game where you had to estimate the amount of crops you had to plant in the field, and it was boring and crap, and even the nuns didn't know what you had to bloody do in it. So yeah, that was that. And then It was the Atari 800 XL that my friend had. So I'd spend some summer holidays around my mate's house playing on his Atari 800 XL. He was the only kid I ever knew that had an Atari 800. So that would have been like 1985, 86-ish time. And I've never known another kid had one, and he had loads of bloody games. So and I love that. I love that thing. So, Boulder Dash and Hero and all those like brilliant like early mid 80s games. So I have a lot of love for the Atari 800. So that led me to start pestering my dad and mum and dad for like a computer. So that led me into the Amstrad. So that was my early introduction to like computers, and that got me that eventually led to my 464 basically. And that's the start of my journey.
So
You seen this comment at the bottom.
What's that then?
Your missus, she's put off it's in his bunghole. Or it's his bunghole.
She calls, yeah. Don't know why she calls it that, but like, yeah. Yeah, we have that kind of like relationship, piss-taking relationship. So
yeah, to be honest with you, they're the best ones. Like, I mean,
yeah.
You know, if I'm honest, I don't think I got with my missus so she'd be easygoing. I think it's because I like a challenge. Keeps me on my toes, you know.
I think those are the kind of best relationships where you can just take the mick out of each other constantly. It does diffuse a lot of like tension in relationships where you can have a good laugh with each other. Yeah.
Well, it's important you're mates as well, right?
So, yeah, exactly. We started as like good mates at uni. That's how we met. So we started drinking in pubs together and having a good laugh, and then like something like 10 years later, we bumped into each other again, and you know. Here we are. So
right, hang on. What's that? Bloody.
Do you have an Atari 400 or 800?
Me, I'd love to own one actually. That I think eventually, I think when like kids are playing the Nest and stuff, because I'm not buying any more retro tat at the moment. I've got 3 kids, and like you know what it's like. Yeah. I can't spend more money on myself and toys and stuff. That they get the toys, not me anymore, sadly. So when they've flown the Nest, I'd love to get another. I'd love to get an 800 XL and some kind of, I don't know, SD card solution rather than buying the games, and just have a little tinker with that. And I'd love to relive some of those memories of one of them. Yeah, that'll be the next thing. Yeah.
We've got a couple of games there that you're quite welcome to have if you want them. If you just cover the postage, hit me up later on if you want.
Oh, lovely. What are these spares? Are they?
It's just some that come in when I've bought some games before and bought a bundle of games, and they were in there. The tape versions, instructions are in there and stuff.
Oh, bless you, mate. I mean, I don't own one. I don't own the actual machine at the moment, but like that's really kind of you, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, just hit us up afterwards, and I'll get them sent out to you.
Oh, bless you, mate. Thank you.
You're welcome.
They're in looking good condition, them as well.
Yeah, it's pretty good to be fair. They're a bit tatty on in some places. If you look at the top corner of that one, it's a bit.
Yeah, don't look too bad.
It's only on the lids, like, but everything's still there.
Yeah.
And they are tapes as well, like, but they're not cartridges or anything. But yeah, they're not bad condition to be fair.
Yeah, they've done pretty well. You consider it's all cardboard. It looks pretty good. Hasn't a quick question? I don't know if you remember, Scott. Hasn't Cy got an 800? He has, hasn't he?
I believe so. Yeah. He's got an 800. Yeah.
Cy's got most stuff if it's old, isn't it?
I was going to say he's got most micros, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think I mentioned him to him when we were in WhatsApp chat once, and I don't think he were interested in him. But if he's got an SD card thing, sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you recently picked up an Atari yourself, didn't you, Scott? What was the one you picked up?
I got an Atari 65 XE.
XE, that's the
like
one.
mint in the box. Got it off Facebook Marketplace, and I didn't really know much about. I always grew up with the Atari consoles, so like the 2600, 7800, and the Atari ST was the only computer I ever owned back in the day.
Yeah,
so I'm loving the Atari because the 65 XE is just a remodel of the 800, and
right.
I'm blown away. The homebrew scene on it is awesome. I'm playing some amazing games on the Atari.
Yeah, it does seem to be one that's a bit of a sod to load, though, doesn't it?
Tape games are an absolute nightmare. I've got someone kindly gifted me a whole cassette rack of games, and I can only get 2 out of that whole lot to work.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, no, they're a bit of a mission, and they take a long time to load. I'm talking a good 10 minutes a game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it fails. Yeah,
And then they fail.
Yeah, that's not good, is it?
Yeah.
I imagine that get quite frustrating after a while. Right, okay, so let's move into our next topic. Now, this one, like I said, I've recently picked up an Amstrad, so I've started looking into, the history of the machine and that a bit more, and I've come across this. Now, I mentioned to a couple of people about it, and they'd never heard of it. So, and that is the Amstrad CPC 472. Any of you guys ever heard of it? I'm guessing LS.
I have. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I hadn't.
Yeah.
I heard about it last night when Al told us.
Right. So, anyone who doesn't know, what I realised was that, well, we know Alan Sugar was a dodgy git anyway, don't we? But this proved it. So, yeah, to anyone who doesn't know, this was Alan Sugar's way of getting around import tax in Spain. They was putting a tax on anything that was a 64K and below. And so he made a little modification, or at least his people did, which, if I'm right, Al, doesn't serve a purpose, right? The little mod doesn't actually do anything, right?
Correct.
Yeah. It was an extra 8K of memory or RAM. It was actually a daughter board. There was I think it was like 2 ribbon cables, and they just sort of soldered. They did actually solder it to the motherboard, main motherboard.
Yeah.
But the chip itself, it wasn't actually connected to to anything. And if you actually test it, the even though there's actually traces onto the actual daughter board or whatever, they're not actually connected to anything. So, but it was so tightly packed in that like you couldn't unless you desoldered the whole bloody thing, you couldn't actually get any electrical testing equipment there to actually test it. So no electrical engineer in customs or whatever is going to bother to actually test the bloody thing to make sure it's actually real or whatever. Anyway, the point was to get around, like you said, those new tax laws.
So why didn't it just pretend? And why didn't it just say it was?
How do you mean? Sorry, mate.
Instead of doing all that with like what wasn't working on the motherboard, why didn't it just say, this one's got this much?
Because they might just like unscrew the case, lift it up, and see where's this like extra like 8K of RAM then, because they could see where the chips were on the board. They're not completely stupid in Spain. They would assume.
Yes.
I guess. Sorry,
it's just words that they play with, isn't it? That's all. I mean, you could stick a 128 chip inside there, couldn't you, and put it on board and say, right, it's got a 128 memory in there.
Yeah.
It's just words, isn't it? It's just that they're just dodging around stuff on the for it.
All for show. I mean, apparently they come up with it in like 2 weeks, didn't they? It was like,
Yeah, pretty much. From what I understand was there was a the company was called Eurohard. Great name. Yeah. and they were a Spanish company. And they weren't even manufacturing a Spanish computer. They were importing the bloody Dragon 32 of all things. Wow. And they wanted to sell the Dragon 32 in Spain. I might be wrong on this. I'm pretty sure it was the Dragon 32. And they lobbied the Spanish government, going like, we can't sell our Dragon 32. So that's how the this tax law came in. So any computer imported into Spain that was 64K and under got like an extra what was it? Something it was worth. You had to charge them an extra something. It was worth about 80 quid. Wow. Tax £80. So the price of the computer went up by 80 quid. 80 quid's worth. So
that's a lot of money for back then, wasn't it?
Yeah. So roughly about that. Again, I might be wrong. Someone can correct me in the chat or something like that. But apparently it was Alan Sugar's idea. He has taken. He's claimed it was his idea. But so if it was, fair play to the guy. It's not. It was a solution that did work. So fair, For all his faults, he did come up with some good ideas, and he got round it in like two to 4 weeks, and it worked. So
did they sell very many, or what? Did they sell many?
No idea. But the thing was, the law got this law or whatever got like, what's the word? Repealed, changed, dropped within about a few months anyway, because Spain joined the
European Union.
Yeah, was it January? So this law came in August, and then by January of '86, they joined.
It was '86. Yeah,
it's only a small time window, then, isn't it? Then when they were out.
Yeah. So there's very, very few of them, and if you're a collector, this is like a rare as hen's teeth. To make matters even worse, there's 2 variants of the 472. So you got one with a British keyboard, and then they had to change it because another law came in, I think, or a requirement where you need a Spanish keyboard. So there's one with like the N key with a squiggly line above it, and whatever. So there's 2 variants to collect. So if you're a hardcore collector with a lot of money, you got a British keyboard one and a Spanish keyboard. So,
well, one of the comments here, they claimed why it didn't show more room. The Spanish key sets took up that space in the RAM. Yeah. On the CPC 472 versus the 464, same machine, they just put in the chip. Yeah. Although one of the differences I noticed, a lot of people seem to be complaining that over time the red on the tape deck turns yellow on the 472 model, which I thought was interesting.
The labeling. I've heard that something to do like with I've heard something to do with that. Yeah, that the red turns orangey more on the 472s than the 464s or something. I think Noel from Retro Lab, Noel talked about that in his video. I remember watching ages back or something.
I think some of the 464s did do that as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Noel said like the 472s tend to do that more than the 464s or something. I vaguely remember Noel talking about that. Yeah.
Must have been using a different type of paint or whatever on it. Yeah. What's this? GP is a glutton for punishment. Hates Amstrad. Keeps coming back.
That's GP for you.
What's this?
Well, I hate the Amstrad, but I like the Amstrad community. I hate the Amstrad though.
The thing is, the Amstrad community, like, we've taken abuse in the playgrounds more than probably any other like kids. So we don't take ourselves as seriously. Probably
the thing is, when you're an adult, you can look at these now and you can actually see that each system's got its own little quirky thing.
Yeah, totally.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you're a kid, you don't, do you? I mean, I got a C64 as my first computer because my sister's boyfriend was telling me, "Oh, you don't want a Spectre or an Amstrad, they're crap." So I was influenced to get it, But then as you get older, I mean, we've had this conversation before, Scott, haven't we? Where we've said, like with the Amstrad could have done better than the C64 over time, because it's very impressive what it does. Like the color palette on it is really good, isn't it? I mean, there's no denying that the color palette on the Amstrad is better than the Commodore. Paul's going to hate me for saying that, but
I actually don't like the color palette on the Amstrad. I've said this loads of times. It hurts my eyes. It's like got like a bloom to it. Like it's, I don't know. It just seems get fuzzy around the pixels. Always seem fuzzy and too bright, and that might be just me.
And you're used to them brown shades. That's what it is. When you get some nice primary bright colours.
Well, I always say this, right? When was the last time you walked out of a house and it looked like the colours of the Amstrad? No.
I knew that was coming. I knew it.
Everything's grey, everything's brown.
It's because we live in the miserable UK and it's rainy and brown and grey half the
It's
year.
only because we've been walking through farmers' fields, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I've noticed as well is that the sound's pretty impressive on the Amstrad as well. Now, I've only got a couple of games, but just on them couple of games, it does sound pretty good. So, you know,
Yeah, the AY chip can sing when it's in the right hands, can't it? You know, the good David Whittaker soundtrack or whatever. You know, yeah.
Well, John has been converting some, hasn't he? And the brilliant.
Oh, it's amazing. If you can go and listen to, you know, like RoboCop 3 and the Commodore 64 is one of the best like soundtracks, video game soundtracks of all time. But there's this guy on the Amstrad scene called Jonaship, and he's done a conversion of that to the Amstrad, and it's like as good, nearly as good as the Commodore 64 version. It just blew my mind. You put them side by side, you can barely tell the difference between the SID and the AY. It's amazing what he's done. Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, one of the things that pushed me to pick up an Amstrad, I want to get Relentless for it because I think that's a cracking game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people who say the Amstrad can't scroll, right? Look at that game. That scrolls perfect.
Yeah, 50 frames per second. Yeah.
Yeah. So
a lot of the problems with the Amstrad is it was late to the market and games were poorly ported from the Spectrum onto it. That was kind of what suffered the Amstrad, wasn't it, back then?
Yeah.
When a game was made solely on the Amstrad, they were cracking games. You know, I remember my best mate growing up, he had an Amstrad. I can remember being absolutely blown away because he had an Amstrad and I just used to take the mick out of him because it was green screen. And then one day he went, oh, my dad's bought me a new monitor for my Amstrad. I went, oh, really? Like that. Went round there and it was colour. And I was like, whoa! You know, it's just like mental to see all those colours. Because for years, he had just been playing on a green screen. And I could have one up on him because I had a Spectrum and be like, well, at least I've got 4 or 5 colours. You've got green. When he got that, I was just like, oh, shit. But yeah.
I'm being
it's the same old story though, isn't it? Even with like the Amiga, you got a lot of SD ports to the Amiga, you know.
And
you got a lot of cross-porting the Mega Drive and SNES at times, and so it's the same old story of companies throughout the years. But yeah,
saving money. That's basically it, isn't it?
Well, Alan Sugar won in the end because he just bought Sinclair, didn't he? Because he said, I am going to be the #1. So to do that, with the sales of Amstrad, he bought Sinclair out. Boom, he was #1.
Yeah.
I'm being told off by Martin here. I'm guessing that's because of my comment about the Amstrad. So it's a thing. I mean, you know, for many years, and I still am. I'm still a Commodore 64 fan, but I can appreciate these other systems. You know, like I mean, when I picked out that Spectrum from Scott, I mean, some of the games that are on that are great. There's no denying it, you know. And the thing is, back in the day, I think when we was kids, we all concentrated on the graphics and all that, but you missed the little quirks and charms of these systems. Like with the Spectrum, all right, it doesn't look as good as a Commodore 64, but some of the games play better. You know, sometimes it's not just about looks, and when you're a kid, it's all about looks, isn't it? That's the problem.
You should see some of those Zosia games that come out recently.
Amazing games.
What was that one that you and Paul always gone about, Scott?
Travel Through Time. When I loaded that game in, I sat there all day until I finished it. And it's not often a game will make me just sit there until it's completely done. And that's an amazing game, that is. I just couldn't believe my eyes seeing a Spectrum do that. It's really good.
Oh, look at this comment from Martin now, right? So he's put, whoa, nerdy geezer, pack it in. And then I get this comment. I know where you live. He literally does. He's around the corner from me. Right, okay. So let's go into our next topic, shall we? So we've done a bit of Amstrad, and now we're going to go, not technically Commodore, but I thought we'd have a chat about the Mega 65. Any of you guys aware of what I'm talking about here with the Mega 65?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that the new sort of like? Isn't it the Commodore version of the Next sort of thing?
Well, it would originally back in the day would have been the Commodore 65, which got canned.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is
So
like a
I had to
clone
have a
of
quick
both.
read up on this morning, but I didn't know anything about it really. So, but I had a quick read up. But yeah, you carry on. Yeah.
Yeah.
They look nice.
Steve
They
will
look-
probably know better, you know. So
They look nice. They look really, really nice. I mean, I was watching a couple of videos on them before, and I don't think the case is 100% perfect. The earlier ones, they were taking them out when they were a bit still warm, so they're getting a little bit of warping on stuff like that on them.
yeah.
They're not Commodore 64 backwards compatible. Some of the software will run, but it's very limited software that will run.
Surely
Oh,
that
really?
that ain't gonna be that appealing then if you can't
Now,
play.
No, I mean it's a bit like your. I don't know whether the Next does this, where you can put a core on the Next.
The Next as standard will run any.
Right. Okay. Well, the Turbo Chameleon for the Commodore 64, for an example, you can get the cores for them, so you can put a Spectrum core on it and run Spectrum stuff. I can put an Amiga stuff on it and run Amiga stuff. So on the 65, they're going to bring cores out for that. So they're bringing another Commodore 64 core for that. I would imagine they're going to bring in an Amiga core eventually. But they had a quite nice unit. The only downside is you've got a second-hand refurbished disk drive inside them because they can't get them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
You know, it looks nice. I would like to have one, but it'd be nice if it would be 100% backwards. You know.
Right. Well, I can give you a price because I've looked at this. So it's 666
euros.
Or 66 euros. Yeah, it's all sixes across the board.
Right, so that's over £1,000 in pounds then, because you know.
No,
is that plus VAT?
581.
Is that plus VAT though?
So it was 581 quid for this.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I think that was including tax. I'm sure it was.
Pass.
Yeah. So it's
You'd
pretty
like to think
pricey.
so, wouldn't you?
Can I be clear on this then? So this is based on what the Commodore 65 looked like, right?
Yeah.
The Commodore 65 was going to be back in the day the next version of the Commodore 64, but it was cancelled because Commodore went bust.
Brought the
Right?
128 out.
They brought
Right.
128 out. Yeah, that's right.
And if I remember correctly, a few Commodore 65s got released into the wild when they just liquidated stock when Commodore went bust, right?
Yeah, some of them did get out there. Yeah.
Right. So okay, so they're rare as hen's teeth, but
Yeah.
essentially, right. Okay.
20 to 50 grams worth of a rarity.
Right, cool. So they based the look of it on that, and this is an FPGA like device essentially, yeah.
Yes.
And so what are they trying to do with this then? So that what's the goal with this thing then? Is it trying to be a Commodore 64 kind of thing, or
I can get your confusion. I can get your confusion because
is it trying to be a Spectrum Next type thing, or was it?
I think so. I think everybody wants to get their hands on the Commodore 65, which you're not going to do it when they're 20 to 50 grand. Do you know what I mean? When they're selling for that kind of money, so it would be nice to have one. Yeah, they do. If you get a working one, they go for. I think the last one went for about 40 grand. A non-working one went for about 20 grand not too long ago.
Okay.
But it'd be nice to have that in your hand, wouldn't it? And it would be really nice to get that Commodore feel where you buy a brand new Commodore machine and open it up again and it's all there and you get the massive manual with it like you did with the 64.
But isn't it just a bit like the Max even? Yeah. Like getting the Maxi, because it's not real. It's not a real one. That's why the real one.
FPGA end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, but as standard, what does it play? You know, if it doesn't play Commodore 64 games, what does it play?
See, that's the thing.
It does play some of the 64 games, but I think it's about. I'm not 100%, but I think it's about 30% compatible with stuff. Cartridges tend to work. Other games don't seem to work. It's just what I've heard and I've seen, if you know what I mean, on the internet.
I've got to be honest. What I saw of
30%.
I watched the video on it. I watched the video on it, and they actually said that it was compatible with a higher percentage than that. I mean, no one's really going to know because no one's really got one, have they? But my impression was the idea was it was meant to run 64 as well. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll get everyone's confusion because I was equally confused because it's like, well, why do you need it? You know, so
if they do bring that Commodore 64 core out for it, and you can install that into it, and it runs everything 99%, then absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
the keyboard's just like an Amiga 1200 keyboard. It just feels like it. It looks like it.
it looks like it.
Yeah.
So it's made by a company called. This is why they've called it the Mega 65, Museum of Electronic Games and Art. So that's what Mega stands for. It took 7 years of development. Like Steve said, recycled disk drive. It's 8-bit and apparently 30 times faster than the C64. 30 times, that sounds a bit of a stretch, but and compatible with the C64, and it actually says that on their website as well. And
what's the point of being 30 times faster than the C64 in this day and age?
I know. And then the other thing is, it bragged about having a real gun racing video chip and 4 SIDs. So, what's a real gun racing chip? Any of you ever heard of that? I haven't. So,
never heard of it.
Yeah, it means nothing to me. Sounds like waffle, to be honest. But
sounds like something that Alan Sugar would put in an Amstrad.
Oh, here we go. Well, look, C64 knockoff. Yep, it sounds that way, doesn't it? Bridget for the Sega Dreamcast.
Christ, no one wants Bridget again.
Good old Bridget.
You warned me about that, didn't you, Scott? When I got that for the Amstrad.
Yeah.
He went, it's awful. I put it on. I was like, well, let's give it a go. Yep, it's awful. Like, yeah, didn't take long to work that one out. Bridget for a time. Oh, everyone's talking about Bridget for all different.
Yeah, everyone wants Bridget.
Oh, bloody Bridget! I can't get away from that sodding game.
Yeah. I can feel your pain after playing that recently. Like, yeah. So I just wanted to talk about it because the video I watched was Retro Recipes. He's done a couple of videos on it actually, and I thought, like, rightfully so, like you guys have all said, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking, why do we need this? What is this? What is the point of it? And so I thought it'd make a good topic because I wanted to see if everyone felt the same way as me, and clearly you all do. So yeah.
I mean, you got the Spectrum next, and that's it feels very Spectrum-y, doesn't it?
Yes.
But even people asking the same question of that, why do we need that? But it does feel very Spectrum-y. It runs everything Spectrum. You know, it will run every Spectrum game under the sun, pretty much.
You can just plug a tape deck in it and load a game by tape if you want to. You can do whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But you come to this thing, and what you guys are kind of describing is good. It's 30% of Commodore software, or 60%, 70%. You want it to be like at least 90% or 95% hitting those high percentages. Otherwise, what's its purpose?
Well, like GP's put here, sounds a bit pointless. Wouldn't you be better off with a Mister? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if they nail that 64 side of it down, then okay. They pretty much it's equal to like a next, then, isn't it? You know what I mean? Where they're going to have to program new games for the 65, like they had to program new games for the next.
Yeah.
You
know,
that makes sense. You know, I suppose the good there for the devs out there that they can start working on some sort of newer 8-bits, if you know what I mean, and work on new systems, and breathe a life into some old gear that we didn't actually get.
So Paul's put here 800, I heard. Now, I got this off their website. I don't know if it's including tax. And maybe it was 800 euros with tax, Paul, maybe. Not possibly. £800, maybe. I don't know. But they're the figures I got off of there. So, sounds a bit pointless, wouldn't you be? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I already read that one. Mega 65 is trying to be the Commodore 65, as they made it. It just emulates. It's made to show what the C65 could have done, and people can develop for it. That's true. Yeah, you may have people develop for it, but the problem is are people going to part with that much money? You know, I mean, you could argue that people have done it with the Next, but I'd
rather buy an SX64 with that kind of money.
I suppose it's going to depend on what developers and what programmers jump on it. You know,
Yeah.
the Spectrum Next has had a massive support from a lot of big time Spectrum developers from back in the day, and they're, you know, working on so many games. And what I will say about the Spectrum Next and the new games that they bring out on it is they still feel like a Spectrum game.
Yeah.
And that's really important, isn't it? So
Yeah.
be interesting to see what happens.
Well, Retro Walks just asked here, can you change mode? Do you mean as into C64 mode? Because yes, I'm sure I saw that on the video I watched. So
you'll be able to change into the other cars as well later on when they bring them out for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, that's the idea anyway, isn't it? Once you start looking at these things, so yeah.
If you can imagine that 65, you've got your 65, you've got your 64. You could have a Amiga 1200 car running inside it as well. You know, everything just preloaded. You've got one unit there for all your Commodore games.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice if that happens, and hopefully it will do when they start producing the cars for it.
Right. Just looking at the comments. Sorry, guys. It's moving so fast tonight. I'm trying to keep up with it. You know, like when you read the comments. Yeah. Maybe it's not faster. It's just me. I'm slower. Yeah. Right. Okay. Shall we move into something else? So this was a question I wanted to ask. I've kind of stole it a little bit from Retro Bait because he had a question we was going to use on a previous stream and we didn't get to it. He was talking about how on the for the people who make the C64 Mini, Amiga Mini, on their website they've got a couple of shaded out consoles, if you like, minis, and we was going to talk about what we thought they might have been. So I've kind of reworked that question. Do you think they'll do a mini Spectrum or Amstrad CPC? What do you think, guys?
Well, they've already done a mini Spectrum, haven't they? They've done the Spectrum Vega.
Yeah, I suppose if you can count it as that. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Really, they were the first to it, weren't they? If you think about it, that was the first kind of idea thrown out there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very poorly, but
call yourself a Spectrum fan and mention the word Vega. How dare you?
No. The Vega Plus, isn't it? If you mention Vega Plus, then you'll literally be mobbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to think if it did a mini Amstrad, it would only just be the same size as a normal computer. Then
that is something I noticed when I picked up the Amstrad. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, if you ever get a burglar coming, don't worry about your baseball bat. Pick up your Amstrad.
He got to do a live stream without losing his arms, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I think it's like, you know, when kids build Lego and just keep on building bits onto it.
I've always said if you want a mini Amstrad, buy a GX4000 cheap on eBay and then get a C4 CPC cart, and you've got a mini Amstrad. Because that C4 CPC cart, you just put basically thousands of Amstrad games on it, and you've got a mini Amstrad. The GX4000 is tiny anyway, so I just grab one here. Boom. C4 CPC cart, bang, you got a mini Amstrad. The only problem is you can't get a C4 CPC cart anymore because of the global chip shortage, and you can't make them at the moment until next year.
Yeah, I've been trying to get hold of a solution for the Amstrad, and like you're saying, you just can't find anything anywhere, can you?
No.
Have you tried them? Have you used them Dandonators before?
I've not got one personally, and I've sort of been keeping tabs on that.
So the guy selling them some on eBay at the moment, about 37 quid there. I didn't think that was too bad.
Yeah. So there's also another thing that's coming out. So there's like two sort of solutions being proposed at the moment. I forgot the name of the other one. I've had a brain fart. But yeah, Dandanator. Yes, yeah. That's another one that's coming. Yeah.
Look at this comment. You can get plenty of GX4000s because nobody bought them back in the 90s.
It's kind of true. There's always a few GXs on eBay. Yeah, that's right, Smoothie.
Well, the other thing is, there's a lot of people blew them up as well, didn't they? Because they used to plug in the wrong connections.
That's right. Yeah, you got
Yeah.
actually, you got two on the, you got 2 ports on the back here, haven't you?
Yeah,
But
not a great design feature.
there's a rubber bong you put on the wrong one to stop you putting the wrong power supply in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was
Yeah.
that, you know, the GX4000, was that one of the first ones to have a SCART?
Yeah.
Or something? It's,
Yeah. That's actually quite a good thing. Yeah, they were quite good at. There was a good design choice to put a SCART on the back there. So yeah,
Innovating. That's the thing, isn't it? Even with failed concepts like that, you always find that there's a little idea in there, something good about it, you know. So
yeah.
you can find that with most things.
But as for a real Amstrad Mini or a Spectrum Mini, you just got to think like, is there a market for it out there? You know, you think is it going to hit the free territory? Is there a market in the 3 big territories, which is America, Europe, and Asia?
How can you make a mini one of that?
Oh, yes.
Valid point.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think that's the only reason there won't be an Amstrad is exactly what Xyphoe said there is I don't think any American would know what an Amstrad is. You know, the Commodore Mini done exceptionally well because it was a big micro in America. But,
Well, yeah.
The Amstrad, it was big in Europe, wasn't it? Quite a few European countries really supported the Amstrad, but
France and Spain.
Well, same as Spectrum, really, wasn't it, for American side?
I think there's only one American got an Amstrad, and that's Man Shovel, isn't it? No, he got it when he
yeah, he's in the chat.
Yeah, he's in the chat.
Hi, Man Shovel.
I think Alan Sugar just had a fan of old VCRs and shoved a SCART on it by accident.
Well, that's how he built stuff, wasn't it? He just bought loads of parts, didn't he? And built the computers.
Yeah. Original PlayStation still works after 25 years. Yeah, PlayStations are pretty reliable. Yeah. Man Shovel knows what an Amstrad is. Yeah, so I mean, here's the question. Then let me flip this then. Right. So, if you're a diehard fan of a system, and I'm guessing, I mean, Scott, you're a diehard Specky fan, right?
Yeah.
And Al, you're a diehard Amstrad fan, would you say?
Yeah.
Right. So here's the question then. Would you buy a Mini then if they did them? Just for the collection?
I was, but I wouldn't buy a Mini of anything else just because it's the Amstrad names on it. I mean, if it was stupid money, I might reconsider, but like, I don't really get the point of these mini consoles. I often think like, who are they aimed at? What are their purpose and what are they for?
I think you could get away with them when they were like 50, 60 quid, but now like with the Amiga Mini and that way it went up to like, I think it was 119 and that. I think that's pushing it a bit now, really, to what it is.
Yeah,
I got to be honest, I do like my Amiga Mini. And I do kind of get the point of it as well, because like with that, obviously you can play CD32, you can play all the different systems on it, right? But also, as we all know, Amigas are massively expensive, right? So if you're not able to afford them original systems, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So I kind of get the point of the Amiga Mini, you know?
They still have a bit of nostalgia about them as well.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of people, when they come in the shop, I had the Amiga Mini set up in the shop, and a lot of people were coming and going, oh, wow, that is awesome. And they mess about with the little mouse and they thought it was amazing. And I think there's a nostalgia, because a lot of people say, what's the point in a Mini? You can just have a PC or another emulation device and have that all on there, which is true. You can. But I think there is an element of nostalgia there for people that don't want to go too deep into it, don't want the original hardware or have to worry about getting a certain monitor or TV. It's an alternative where that could be a gift for someone for Christmas. They'll play it until New Year's Day, put it back in the box and forget about it. It's kind of one of them sort of things.
Yeah. I suppose, it's not really aimed at us, really, is it? Who you know, you see behind me, we've got the region. Most of us here have got the regional hardware. We know about our emulation. We know how to set up the emulators on a PC, or we've got the hardware. It's not already aimed at us. It is the casual gamers that like been on the periphery for years and like kind of like, oh, I remember that, and kind of want to get back into it, but don't know how. Like perhaps have had families and raised kids and just didn't have the time. They've been busy, I suppose, with work life and all that kind of stuff. And I suppose as well. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
And if the mini device is not completely locked down, and it's quite easy to put your own ROMs on there and add games to it yourself, then that is more appealing. Then it's not a completely locked down device. That would be more appealing than a completely locked down unit that's stuck with the 20 odd games. That as well. That's my kind of like last thought on that, really.
Like the Amiga, they promoted the fact that you can get the WHD load games and just put them straight on there, whatever you want. So
that makes it more worthwhile purchase then,
Just want that little nostalgia trip every now and again, you know what I mean? Just to pull it out and have a little bit of a game. And these minis are perfect for just going into the drawer underneath your television unit.
Exactly. And they take up no space. And with an HDMI lead, you're away. You just plug it straight into your telly. Because a lot of people don't want to fuss around with having to get certain leads or adapters or whatever to
got space in their house for anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like earlier on, I think it was GP said about OSSC. You know, obviously you don't need that if you've got a mini because it's HDMI. And Manshove here, they might also appeal to someone who never had that particular console or system.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I mean, you're opening up a new audience, I suppose, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, like kids my age, for example, kids of my boy's age, it would be perfect for them, you know. So, yeah, I suppose they do have their good points, but like you say, to us guys, a lot of them seem pointless. Yeah, I get it.
Totally. We do have the place.
Yeah,
sounds like they did a lot right with the Amiga Mini then. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It is good. I mean, even the controller on it's good. Although I would argue, don't play Chaos Engine on it because I can't play Chaos Engine on that bloody controller because it's one of them silly ones, you know, like you just got the 4 points. So when you want to go diagonal, it never wants to go that way. Not like a good old joystick on the original Amiga, you know. I put it on a proper Amiga, I can play it no problem, but on the Mini, no. But other than that, you know, the controller's pretty good. Not like the CD32 one, which it's based off of. So, yeah. Oh, just looking down the comments. Full keyboard, FPGA would write. Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's go into our next topic, which is, well, kind of a topic. Steve's show and tell, because there's something he wants to show us. So, Steve, do you want me to add this other window? Because there's something here you want to show, isn't there?
Yeah, you can bring it up, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, take it away.
So some of you know, especially in the WhatsApp chat, that I've been picking up Commodores and kicking around. I did have a Commodore 128. I had 2 of them, but I've sold that to one of them to Matt, and I sold that to Fund to pick up a Commodore 128D. The difference between the 128 and the Ds is the D's more like a desktop. It's got a big base unit, keyboard in front of it, and you put the monitor on top of it. And it's got a built-in disk drive as well. But again, they wasn't produced for too long. So these are some pictures from the guy that I actually purchased it from. He was just showing me it up and running and working. As you can see, it's got the disk drive built in there. The keyboard's a little bit yellow across the front here. And if you look at the enter button, that's a bit yellow. It's a bit funny, isn't it, how odd keys do in the 3 key. If you look at that just quite there, it's looking a bit yellow there. But in all, it's in quite good condition. It's a bit strange how the badge has gone brown, hasn't it, and nothing else.
Steve, can I ask, like, if you don't mind answering this, how much does something like this go for?
I think if you're looking at eBay prices, it can be anything between sort of 500 and 600 now for one of these.
Yeah.
I picked it up for half that amount, which was quite lucky, to be fair.
And it was fully working.
Yeah, well, disk drive would read a directory, but wouldn't do anything after that. So I just popped the lid off, lubricated the guide rails for it, and it's away. It's perfectly fine now.
Okay.
But it's just quite a clean unit. And you can see the keyboard in the bottom of it there, look.
Oh, right. Yeah, it slots in. Yeah.
And then you've got the handle there, so if you want to pack it up and carry it around with you, you can do.
Ah, okay. I've never seen one of these before.
No, I haven't.
And you've got the normal old ports on the back, exactly the same as you have with the 64, apart from the RGBI out there for your 80 column.
Right. Okay.
And that's your side port. And that's your keyboard connector, which is a normal DB25. Joystick ports, and you've got a drive reset and a system reset button at the side there.
Was there many 128 games released on the Commodore then?
No, it was a bit of a flop, to be fair, with the 128. The developers decided what's point, because it has a Commodore 64 mode. So you can either type Go 64 enter and it takes you into Commodore 64. Or you can hold the Commodore key and switch it on, reset it, and it goes into 64 mode. So obviously, with being a massive games library out there already for the 64, that's the reason why they put it in there, because it's actually two computers, two completely separate computers in there. Yeah, they didn't want to program for the 128 because it had 64 mode, and they just knew that the 128 owners had just played Commodore 64 mode anyway. So there wasn't a great deal of games. I think Rocky Horror Picture Show were one. I think Kickstart 2 they did one. I think there's about 20 or 30 games for 128, but not a great deal.
That's the 8 had an extra level, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's a shame, really, isn't it? Because the 128 sort of spectrum was, it was a massive leap, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. It came in an Amiga 500 box, and that's the paperwork that I got with it, which was quite nice to get the original books. And that's when I got it home and plugged it in and tested it. You can see keyboard's a bit yellow around there. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape, to be fair.
Yeah.
Was there many? Was there many 128 exclusive games released? Is there a figure?
There's probably about 20 or 30. I think there were a little bit more on the business side software that were brought out for it, because it were more aimed that way with your 80 columns and stuff like that for your spreadsheets and stuff like that back then.
Oh, right.
But yeah, that
was only so for you. Yeah.
So more aimed as a business machine, really.
Yeah, I would have said so. But obviously, again, it came out just after 64, and they were thinking about the 65. So they brought that out, and then they brought the Amiga out. So everybody sort of stayed away from the 128 to get the Amiga when that came out. So I think they only run for probably about 4 or 5 years or something like that. I could be wrong. And
it's crazy looking back at it, isn't it? Because you can kind of see why Commodore ran into so much trouble, because they were bringing out so many different systems.
Yeah.
Spread themselves too thin.
So much.
They did a lot of stupid things, didn't they? I mean, look at the Commodore GS, the game system. Stupid at the end of the day. Good idea, but executed stupid, to be fair.
And the packing cartridge that you needed to push a key on the keyboard to actually get to play. I mean, how do you make that mistake? Like,
you can't write that stuff, can you?
Yeah, not their best idea.
So what else I've been doing is something a little bit more, might be more interesting to you Commodore guys out there. The Commodore 64 SX64, the executive computer. There's a lot of replacement parts. You can buy a Commodore 64 motherboard now, reproduction, and you can play it. You can build it and you can play it. It's great. They do the VIC-20s, they do the Amigas, they do the A1200 replica boards. What they didn't do was the Commodore SX replica boards. I bought an NTSC SX, and it had missing CPU board inside it. And I got it relatively cheap. So I reached out to Rob Taylor that does the 60s clone boards and said, did you ever really want to do an SX? He says, well, I'd love to do one. If I could get my hands on one cheap enough to pull it in bits to replicate it, I'd do it. So he put a shout out there and asked somebody if they had some spares. Adam Kane, you'll know Adam Kane if you're in the Commodore community. He sent him some boards in. Rob came to me for some more extra boards that he didn't have. So I stripped them boards out and sent them over to Rob. So he's currently producing the reproduction boards, complete boards for the SX. So that's your reproduction board that's just in Gerber files at the moment. They have been sent off and they have come back and they are starting to build them. So as soon as I get the CPU board back over, I'll be putting that back in my system and finally getting it going. But that's your cartridge port board.
Yeah.
That's the little clock that generates your clock signal. That's on the main board, CPU board. You can see at the side, that's what it used to look like. And that's the reproduction side of it. But they've gone one step further than that. They've decided to get rid of all this and make a smaller board for the clock.
Right.
This is your CRT controller at the right-hand side of the SX. So you can change your volume, your brightness, contrast, etc. So that's your CPU board. As you can see that down that side there, you can see that clock board that they've built, and that's the new one that they've made. So you can see they've reduced it quite a long way.
Yeah.
So to make this PAL or NTSC, all you do is change that board, or you change that crystal, and you change the chip, and that's it, pretty much. Obviously, they've got a CRT screen in there, which an NTSC CRT screen won't take PAL. So when I build mine and change it to PAL, I'm going to be putting an LCD screen in to accommodate that. That's the FDD board, which if you look, it carries the CIAs and things like that on there. I think there's a lot more control for your disk drives. That's the I/O board. It's got your other two CIAs, your 6562s on. That connects like a T-shape into the motherboard. Also, you pick up your cartridge ports up here. That goes up to the top. That's your rear board, which gives you the user port. You get your serial, your video, your two joystick ports at the back. And that's pretty much it. So he has said that these boards should be coming back to me fairly shortly. What he's done, because he stripped my boards down, he said, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to rebuild your original boards, or do you want me to rebuild your stuff off them boards onto the replica boards? Because this 64 that the SX that I've got is a bit of a Frankenstein anyway. I said to him, well, it'd be easy to solder on the new boards, won't it? Just do that. So that board at the bottom down here, that is actually my board that should be coming back to me fairly shortly. I've got to source these connectors and a connector down there and this connector out, and then obviously get it all installed. But I should be doing a video on that once it all comes through. Yeah,
this was what you was hoping to have back in time for the stream, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a little bit. Not too sure on what's going to happen with them yet. I was talking to Rob, and he says I don't know whether I'm going to do them as a bundle. He says I can't see me printing a load of these boards off and selling them individually, because people will want a CPU board and then somebody will want an I/O board, and I'll end up stuck with a load of boards. Yeah. In the same breath, if I put all the boards together as a big bundle pack, it might be fairly expensive and people might not want to buy that. So he's toying with the idea, and I don't know whether this is 100% yet or not, but he's just toying about the idea of once these have been made and everything's been tested and working right, that he's just going to upload them to GitHub. So if people want these boards, they can download the Gerber files themselves, send them off to the likes of PCBWay, and have one made themselves. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So
have you got a picture, Steve, of the actual system that you're talking about here?
The SX. Let's see if I can find one.
Because I've seen one, but I don't know everybody has. So because this is the one with the built-in monitor, isn't it?
Yeah. SX 64.
Just so people have got an idea of what you're talking about here.
Yep, I'll just try and bring that up here.
This is where you need a bit of music, isn't it? Bit of elevator.
It's going to come up. I might have to lose that and bring it back again. Hang on.
Do you want me to turn it off at my end and then bring it back up, Steve? Ah, there you go.
I'll bang it on now for you. Just bear with us. We're nearly there. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, right. Let's add that. Yeah.
So there's your SX64, which was the first laptop, if you like, that was ever made. They weren't called a laptop then because you couldn't put it on your lap, you'd break your knees.
Could you imagine, like, if someone tried to nick that off you back in the day? You just hit them with it, didn't
You won't be running right fast with it anyway. Do you know what I mean? You think you'd have to take it off a minute, then with it, and then run. You know?
Yeah.
It's
how
not a
much did one
laptop,
of
it's a
them worth?
portable computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called it a luggable computer because there was no such thing. You had to lug it around because it was so heavy. It's about 10 kilograms. It's about 8 to 10 kilograms, something like that. There was.
What's one of them worth then, Steve?
Depending on condition, etc. You can get one for probably be in the region between 500 to $1,500, depending.
Wow.
I was quite lucky to pick this one up. It was a little bit battered on top. There were keys missing off it. The handle was completely missing. Just on the edges, up the edge, that corner there, you can see that little latch. You can flip them latches over, and then you can adjust the handle wherever you want it. So all that handle were gone. There were a couple of F1 keys missing. A couple of keys across this side were missing, which Adam Kane quite gladly supplied me with them. He had all the spares that I needed, which are absolutely fantastic. And I was just missing the CPU board then. I did purchase American.
How many thousands of AA batteries does that take? 2,000.
To try it, to be fair.
Take the back out, just thousands of AA batteries just pouring out.
Can you imagine?
Battery slot at the front. That's the battery slot.
Turn up and then your wife saying like, "What's this?" And then you tell her that it was like £1,000.
Divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question, with the little monitor that's in here, is that a full color monitor or?
Yes.
It is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, full color monitor. I think they're about a 5.5-inch monitor.
They're nice, they're nice. I've seen them on the stream before. They're nice.
I mean, I picked one up.
What they're called? What they're called? What am I thinking of? In electrical engineering, what do you oscilloscope or something?
Oscilloscopes. Yeah, they look like an oscilloscope. Yeah, they do.
They look exactly the same as, don't they?
Yeah, you don't even need to change disk drive port up there, wouldn't you? Like, and put some knobs up there, like, and it look like.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could see
them being quite lucky.
Our garage or something. Yeah.
The one that I've got, which is a Minter, that's American unit, but I've got that from in London. It was shipped up, but that's really clean and really mint. Is that one? I'm keeping that one as it is. Obviously, it runs on 110 volts, so I've got an inverter for that one.
Yeah.
The second one that I got, believe it or not, I picked up for 150 quid.
Oh wow, bargain.
Which I was quite shocked at, to be fair. And I went on eBay afterwards, and I was looking for a CPU board for it. So I managed to pick one of them up from Canada, and obviously that cost me 200 quid plus all your import taxes, etc., and stuff like that to get it.
Yeah.
I probably got about the same amount of money in the second one when it's finished as to what I did with the first one. The first one cost me about 500 quid. This one cost me about 500 quid as well. But,
so I don't know if you've already said this, Steve, but what year was this when this was released?
84.
84. Oh wow.
It's just basically top and bottom of it. It's a Commodore 64.
Yeah.
You just don't have a tape port. That's all. You've got the cartridge port at the top.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got your disk drive, but there's no tape port for it at all.
And I'm guessing that's a 5 1/4 drive.
Yeah? 5 1/4 floppies.
Right.
Just same as your 1541 disk drives.
Sorry, Paul, I cut you off there, mate. What was
I'm saying that would be a better thing to remake than that Mega 65. I think with that.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I agree. That
all in one, you can take it with you. Obviously,
Yeah.
You need to book an extra seat on the train for it, like, but
I keep meaning to take it down to McDonald's and just setting it up on the table, you know, while I have my Big Mac. Sit and play.
I do like the look of it. I mean, well, you can definitely say it's different, can't you? I mean, it doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before. So
They're a beautiful machine, and then the reason why they flopped, they were called the SX64. Everybody knows it as the SX64, but that was just its model number. It should have been the executive computer. There was going to bring out a DX64, which, if you look at it there where the disk drive is, the DX were going to be a dual disk drive. So what people did is they didn't buy this one. They didn't want it. They wanted to wait for the DX to come out, which made this one flop. So they decided, right, sold enough of them. It's not going to work, and they dropped it. So unfortunately, them that were waiting to put another disk to have twin disk drives didn't get one at all.
didn't get one. Yeah.
No.
Another terrible decision by Commodore.
It's all marketing, isn't it? At the end of the day, I mean, throwing these little 65s out there and going all 1 to 8 for a couple of years in between Amigas and stuff like that. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why did you do it? We could have done that a lot more. We had the 64 for nearly 12 years.
Yeah.
You know.
It's pretty smart. Oh, well, thanks for sharing that, Steve.
No, you're welcome. And once I get the boards and stuff coming through, I will be doing a video. And
definitely. I'll be keeping an eye out for that. I like watching your videos where you're repairing things, and also obviously in some cases you're having to use like a modern twist on things as well to get them fixed, aren't you? So
yeah. I like to do my videos. I mean, people, you can see it in my comments all the time, and they go, "Why don't you use your oscilloscope? You've got one there at the side of you." Well, not everybody has an oscilloscope.
Right. So you're doing it in a way where anybody
layman's way, if you like. So every man in the street or every woman in the street could just pull out a multimeter and try and fiddle around with it and follow along and try and fix it.
Yeah.
You know? It's okay pulling the scope out and going, right, this is a scope and this is this. Oh yeah, that's it. And I found it. Yeah, great. But what does the man in the street do if they've got a problem with one?
That's true. Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah,
I never thought of it like that.
So that's the difference with my channel, really. I suppose it's what I do, that side where I want everybody to learn what they can from it, repair their own gear if they can from it. You know, if somebody in chat says, pull out your oscilloscope, I want you to see you use it, then I'll do a video on an oscilloscope video if you like, But
you do realise, Steve, what you just said there is probably going to get clipped out and put on Swap Shop at some point. Get out your oscilloscope.
Get out your oscilloscope. Don't tell Lee. So I just wanted to show you what we're coming up. I'm pretty sure you Commodore guys that are out there will be quite interested to know that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them systems out there, can you appreciate, that are just dead in water. I sat talking to somebody on Facebook and he had about 5 SXs, all in various different states, parts missing and stuff like that on it, boards missing out of it and stuff. Well, that gives him a perfect excuse now, doesn't it, to go out and get these boards printed and get them all the systems fired back up again and get them sold on, rather than selling them on as spares and bits and pieces sitting in somebody else's cupboard.
Yeah. Someone just put a comment here about build a Vectrex into an oscilloscope. Someone was saying, I think it was Alex, he was telling us, wasn't he, that they used the screens off them for, was it heart monitors? I'm sure he said heart monitors.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a wacky idea what he's saying there, but they do things like that. So, I mean, the Atari Jaguar, the housing of that ended up in dentists, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
they used them for the hygienic cleaners. Yeah.
So, look at CD32s, they ended up in arcade cabinets, didn't they?
Yeah, was it that or was it cash machines?
Probably both, to be fair.
Yeah. Right, okay. Steve, I'm going to drop that out just a sec.
Fine.
And I think we're all caught up with the chat. Yes, we are. So
I'll give 2 minutes.
All right, yep. So I'm going to bring us into our last category, which I always like to do on every stream. I think it's probably more relevant on this stream than most because I know that Xyphoe Al loves to play these sorts of games. I know that OSG's been playing one that come out recently, so let's go into homebrew.
Nice.
Yeah, I always like talking about homebrew because I mean, there's so much good stuff out there, and although I haven't, this is probably the first month since I've been doing this stream, I haven't bought any homebrew. That's bad, right? What's going on? I haven't bought any homebrew. But yeah, I'm looking to try and get Relentless. I do want to pick that up because I love that game. And now I've got an Amstrad, I can. So I got a ROM of it, but yeah, I want the physical copy of it. So I'll definitely be looking to get that. But before we start chatting, I just want to show. Paul kindly let me nick this off one of his latest videos. So I'm just going to play this now. I love the look of that. I love the look of that.
That's a mint game.
Oh, Devil's Temple. Yeah.
So Graham offered to meet up with us and give us all of these games, you know, like give us them for like helping them out and stuff like that. And I'm not a collector, maybe, or I think you realise that I get like games given to us. I mean, I sent you a Dreamcast one, didn't I, Lee? And
that's right. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I didn't. It wasn't even open. I don't really collect games. Do you know what I mean? So if people were, I just said to Graham, I don't want them to sell them. Sell your games. Do you know what I mean? It's a waste of time for me. I'll only go in the shed where, honestly, I think I spoke to Xyphoe today and I said I've had to dig me way back into the shed now because it was like full of bikes and crap and like this. You have no idea what's going on behind this computer. It was like just frigging boxes of shite and white trying to take over with stuff.
You're gonna put your computer in the wash later on, are you?
There's also some slug stuff. And it's just piled all over. I've made it look as if you can see, as if it looks a little bit neat here, but down there is like 2 chainsaws, loads of logs.
Chainsaws.
Why do you need 2 chainsaws?
Yeah, why do you need 2? Yeah, one in each end.
So I've got an electric one. And pepper one. So the pepper one's for when I go out like chopping trees down the woods where you're not supposed to do that. And then the electric one I use when I'm cutting them up in the garden.
What I thought he was going to say is, well, the petrol one's for Halloween when I want to go out.
That's why I've got 2 chainsaws. So, but yeah, it's a proper shithole in here.
Because Commodore's so precious, you see. You've got them guarded, don't you? You know, you don't need that stuff when you're on the spectrum, you know.
Yeah.
So, obviously,
chainsaws in case OSG has guests, says Kate in the chat.
Oh, right. I missed that. So, obviously, when you did the video to this, Paul, you mentioned at the beginning about somebody uploading this, like, what was it, the day after it went on sale?
Yeah. So it was actually the day it went on sale. I think he put it on 10 o'clock in the morning. Somebody bought it off him, and by 12 o'clock he would put it on. Is it a BBS? It's like where we used to do it in the old days on the Amiga. We used to, and would upload it to there. I don't know if Graham's in the chat, but I know it's a few days after that, Graham actually hacked that site and took the whole site down. So
did he? Oh, that's like the ultimate revenge.
Yeah.
Oh wow. You just got him in trouble, have you?
Yeah, I think he told them. I think I know that he messaged me and he was copying all the stuff over because he was gonna give him a back, but because some of the lad who bought the digital copy, it actually bought a real copy as well, a physical one. So he was going to send the box, but without the game in it and the data stick with the site on there, because he would. So that's what he was going to do. So I don't know if he's done that. I'll probably just spoiled his surprise now.
Well, I don't know.
Probably getting arrested now.
Busted.
Good story.
Might need that chainsaw and axe.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a pisser to do that, I think, especially in like in this day and age when, do you know what? Back when we all used to get copies, everybody used to get copies. Nobody used to buy all original games. I mean, what have I got here? Like here, Amiga wise, right? I've just got boxes and boxes and boxes of discs, and that's all that we always had. Them, right? And you didn't think about it back then, and you were taking the money off like big companies, but to take it off somebody who's invested all his money into it. He spent 14 months making that game, and then to do it within 2 hours. He says he expected it to be uploaded, which everybody does, but not within 2 hours of it going on sale. That's a bit of a dick.
I mean, this is the thing. I mean, back in the day, like when you did it to these huge companies, it really made no difference to them, you know. But when you're talking about a guy that's like, you know, sitting in his room coding this, you know, doing what he's doing, and then someone does this to him, it's a bit of a dick move, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it looks like a great game too. So, yeah, it's definitely one I'd like to play. I mean, it really does remind you.
It the worst bit of footage there. That was like the worst boss on the game. I know that one. I think, the last level's mid. It's like.
Do you know what it was? I didn't want to give too much away and spoil it for people, which is why I picked that bit. And also I picked it because I like the little billboards in the background as you're going along. I noticed that Cobra's in the background, and on that one, that particular clip, that sprint game, that's the one that he's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and funny enough, I picked the original up for the Spectrum only last week off of you, Scott, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
So all these other games is in there as well. If you have a look, if you're in the arcade, he's got like Rygar in there, and that's where there's like a secret in Rygar. If you punch a Rygar machine, so there's loads of secret stuff in that game as well. What nobody even knows about, not even me. I found a couple of things. He told us about the Rygar machine, but then I found one on another level. But according to him, there's stuff all over. So he's not going to tell anybody where it's at. So you've got to find it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it really heavily reminds me of Kung Fu Master, definitely. Is it harder? That's the question, because I mean, you know, Kung Fu Master, depending on what you was playing it on, I mean, that could be pretty difficult, I suppose, on some systems. Like, what's it playing?
From level 7 onwards on that Devil's Temple's like proper brutal. And
really?
If I hadn't gotten all the extra men like early on, because there's 2 places where you can just proper farm extra men. I think I end up with like something like 20 lives. If I didn't get them, I wouldn't have completed it.
Right.
I mean, I played it on Twitch a few weeks back, and I did struggle in places. And I think I played it on normal. I think I played it on standard difficulty. I got about 2/3 through, but I had to. OSG did tell me about the life farming thing on the Rygar machine, so I even needed that to help me through. But yeah, I got my arse handed to me quite a lot of times on that. But reminds me of Vigilante as well. If you remember that from the arcade. It's like Vigilante meets Kung Fu Master with a bit of something else thrown in. But yeah.
So I'm just reading the comments here because GP's put didn't Sega blame piracy on the DC Dime. Yeah.
It was the final nail in the coffin, basically.
Yeah,
but that was their own fault though, because they didn't put no copyright stuff on them. You could just quickly get that Utopia disc and then copy away and then just play out, couldn't you? So that's why they failed.
Yeah,
it didn't fail really yet. It's probably my favorite console, the Dreamcast. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Oh, it's a great console. Like, I mean, this is the thing. I never went anywhere near it. Obviously I went through PlayStations and that at that point, but you know, now where I've gone back to it, where people have said to me, "Oh, you really need to get one," and I'm looking at these games, and it's like, wow, I really should have played this back in the day. You know, yeah, they are good. Some of the games.
I had like a PlayStation with like maybe I don't know, maybe it's about 10 games. And then I bought a Dreamcast off my friend, right? I think he'd bought a PlayStation 2 and he sold us a Dreamcast, but it had like 100 and odd games with it copied. And it was just like, it was the equivalent of now, like, you know, when we get emulators now and you can play any game. I was just putting any game in out of a Dreamcast and it was like mint.
Yeah.
I think it probably did kill us, to be honest.
It did. It was the final nail because Sega are a little bit arrogant in thinking that because that was their own exclusive format on the disc, they didn't think people would be able to crack it as quick as they did.
Yeah.
And literally within a year of the Dreamcast being out, they cracked it.
I think we missed a trick as well. So we should have really used. So some of the discs are like the big CD discs, like we've got extra megabytes on them. That's what they should have used for all the games and put extra stuff on, so then you couldn't copy them. I mean, nowadays you can shrink them down with that disc juggler and stuff like that. But back then there was none of that. You know, that would have stopped it. But
see, I remember back in the day, I had this Sanyo double tape deck, and I knew like it had little dots on the volume and the tone wheel. So I always knew exactly where to put the dials, and I used to copy the old Commodore 64 tapes on that, which is funny because I only realised in recent years that apparently that was quite difficult to do with C64 tapes, but 9 times out of 10 it worked when I did it.
Well,
so
I was copying them on high-speed dubbing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, high-speed dubbing.
Yeah, I had that as well, and yeah, you're right. You could do it on that. Yeah.
But yeah, I only ever got Spectrum games as birthday or Christmas presents or with my paper round money. We all used to buy. I can remember being in the playground and we would plan with our mates what we were going to buy, and then we'd copy each other's games.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I mean, even with the Amiga, I was doing that. My mate up the road, he was a proper flash git. He used to get all the new stuff, and I'd be, let's borrow that. X copy done, you know. So
see, with the Amiga, with me, I had very few original games. I'll admit that. I had very few.
I had one. I don't think I had one original game.
Yeah, it was all discs. I can remember because by then I was late into high school, and we would just like meet up and be like have them in our backpacks and just swap discs with each other.
Yeah,
and then I think I probably had a handful of original Amiga games. They were all just blank floppy disks.
Yeah, I did have a few boxed ones, but most of mine were copies.
I think I had a lot of Commodore originals because it was like it's a bit weird where I live, right? It's like a little village, and we had like a hairdressers, and next in the hairdressers there was a computer shop as well. It was like the hairdresser's son was running like a computer shop, which was in a little tiny room, and you just went in and I bought like what was that crappy game? It was Subway. It was a Subway Vigilante or something. Subway Vigilante. Yeah. It was like it looked great on the front, but then you used to get them home and they were crap. But you paid like $1.99 for it, so you weren't really that bothered. But I had a few big boxes for the Commodore, like Double Dragon, even though it's a horrible game. The actual package was lovely. I remember going home on the bus with that, and I was getting excited because it's my favorite game in the world. Double Dragon on arcade, but then I was totally let down. But
same. I loved it on the arcades and got it for the Commodore 64, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, the second one was even worse, wasn't it? I mean, I remember playing the second one on the Mega Drive. Hated it. Yeah,
I don't like the second one on arcade though when they changed the controls. So you had like left and right kick and stuff like that. I didn't like
it. Gets confusing, right? You don't know which way you're punching or kicking half the time. Yeah, couldn't stand it. Yeah. So, as we're in homebrew and we got you on Al, I really like that Ewok game. I'm going to say that Ewok game because I've completely forgot the name of it. But is there any way I can get a physical copy of that?
Oh, Xyphoe's Nightmare.
Yeah.
They turned me into a bloody Ewok. So my community in chat tease me all the bloody time. It started out with my missus. She's teasing me now in the doorway there. Actually, she's got a bloody tattoo of the character on her leg at the moment. She's like showing me. So it started out with missus. She calls me as a teasing thing. She calls me an Ewok. apparently. So that's how it's all spread into the community. I get called an Ewok by the community. So I've been turned into an Ewok in this computer game called Xyphoe's Nightmare. As for a physical copy, I don't know. It's up to Yellowbelly, who made the game. He's not finished it completely. So he's released it onto the Antstream. You guys heard of Antstream?
I've heard of it,
Yeah.
but I've got to be honest, I don't know the full extent of all that. So,
all right, so it's like the Netflix, Spotify type thing of retro gaming. So it's like a streaming platform of like retro games. So it like streams from their servers. So like Jim Bagley, he was like a specky coder back in the day for Ocean. He's one of the guys behind it. One of the coders. He did like Midnight Resistance and all that on the specky back in the day. Anyway, so Yellowbelly coded it for Antstream as like a high score attack game. So he's done it for Antstream, and he's going to finish it off and do like an proper Amstrad version. You can play on like real hardware and emulators. Yeah. So when he's done that version, he's going to think about doing like an actual proper physical release, like the final version. So I'll let you know when that.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think he normally does them on a charity thing, or doesn't he? He does them for charity, doesn't he?
So he did like a he has done a physical version for a charity thing of like the Antstream one. It gets complicated and messy, so he did like a little limited Antstream version onto a physical tape for a charity stream like a few months back. So there's only about 5 copies of that, and that they've all gone out to people who donated to the charity, so they're gone. But like a proper full final expanded version for the Amstrad machines and all that, he may do next year. He may do, but it depends on his like work schedule and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I've watched you play it a few times, and I thought, I could quite enjoy it. That game, it looks really good. It looks really frustrating as well, though. I'm not going to lie, but
yeah, it's bloody hard. It's designed to be an excruciatingly hard platformer.
Yeah, I like all the little references in it as well. So yeah, it's a well put together game. So I'm hoping he does a physical one, and let's hope he does some more games as well, because it looks good.
It's the first time I've done something for a computer game as well, because I did the music in it.
Oh really?
Oh wow!
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so I try. It's the first time I've done something in a computer game, so I thought I'll have a little go at the music, because I've done music myself in bands over the years and stuff. But I thought I had a look at all this sort of soundtracker software, and I thought I had a little go at it years ago when I was a kid, when I was about 11, 12 years old. I thought it can't be that hard, can it? So I spent a few months, learned it, and so that's the song in the game is what I've done that. So
yeah, nice.
You want to put a copyright in on all the videos?
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry, the copyright.
Get the money off them.
Oh yeah.
What happened to me? I done so one of my mates, he's like he runs Pixel Heart and Josh Prod, who make Dreamcast games. That's who did the Another World one.
Another World,
So he asked us to play, I think it's called Satazeus Next or something, which is a shoot 'em up on the Dreamcast, and I did that. He says, "Will you do a full playthrough and all that?" And I done it, and then I got a copyright for the music, and so I got to him and I said, "I've been copyright for the music," and he goes, "Oh, sorry about that. The musician has got copyright on it." I was thinking, "You bastard!"
So he screwed you. He basically screwed you over. Oh Jesus, nothing sacred. Nice of him, wasn't it? Screw you over.
I've had a few copyrights like that, though. I got a copyright off what's he called, Matt Gray for Last Ninja 2, but I always follow them up. Like if it is the composer, I didn't really mind like giving them a revenue, but if it's like these stupid little companies what are just taking a chance, I just always gone against them. But it was actually him, and we actually got on talking. So I've talked to him quite a bit. I put him in touch with Retro and him to try and get him at Blackpool, but he was busy, because I think he would be a great guest at Blackpool. That soundtrack off Last Ninja 2 is unreal.
Yeah,
you find that a lot of Amiga composers, like you get copyright claims for. So from back in the day. So I tend to avoid all Amiga music on any streams or videos if I can.
Yeah, but you had a problem with Rob Hubbard, didn't you? And then somebody got in touch with you and said, just if you do have music in, just get in touch with them and they'll.
Yeah, I think it was Rob Hubbard. Yeah,
well,
Matt Gray. Who's the other one? Is it Martin Galway? I think you tend to get a lot of claims.
Chris Hulsbeck, you get a lot.
Chris Hulsbeck, yeah. So there's a whole list of them. Neil from RMC is a good guy to talk to. He has a whole big like spreadsheet and database of like musicians to avoid, and
that's pretty handy. You should bring a book out so we can all get it.
Jerome Tell doesn't though. Jerome Tell actually watches my videos and he loves it. I love his music. He's the one who did he's from Maniacs of Noise and he did Myth and that.
Yeah, and that Robocop 3 one we talked about earlier as well. Yeah. I don't get any claims from his stuff, I think. So yeah, he's good.
Well, it's funny earlier. You mentioned Jim Bagley, and we had a surprise visit for him. Was it last stream or the one before?
That was the last one, wasn't it?
I think it was the last one.
Yeah, I think it's the last one. I'm looking at your channel. Yeah.
And he dropped in, and what came from that afterwards is he was talking to Cy, and as we're in homebrew, it's quite relevant here. And he basically gave Cy early access to the new baggers in space. Detour, was it called? It's Cy's in the chat.
It is Detour. Yeah.
Any of you guys see his video? Did you watch that?
I've not seen that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really good. Baggers in Space is a great next game, and the sequel looks like they now know what they've got to work with the next, because So says in the video that the original Baggers in Space was coded and programmed before they knew what the next could do, what it was capable of, because they obviously wanted a game for when the next first launched, and now they know what the next can do. You can really see it in the sequel. It looks really good.
Yeah, because the first one was heavily influenced by Jetpack, wasn't it? And I suppose Hero as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With this new one, it's still them, but there's a few other things sort of thrown in the mix, isn't there?
Yeah.
And you can see that graphically and probably even musically as well, it's improved, isn't it? I mean, the first one looked great, but this one, it looks really good.
Yeah.
I do like on the first one how Jim got his face on the astronaut on the front cover. I mean, you can clearly see that's Jim, right? So there's no mistaking that that's his game. But yeah,
I think he does a Cabal one like that now, doesn't he? Because he did Cabal and he's got his face on the front of one. I don't know if he uses it in Facebook, doesn't he?
Yeah, he has on Facebook. Yes, his profile. Yeah. Someone drew it for him, obviously. Yeah, but yeah.
Well, he dropped, didn't he, in the last stream that Cabal and all of those games are hopefully being remade for the next.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty good, wouldn't it?
That would be amazing. Yeah.
I mean, as we said, like the next, it is impressive. I mean, because I asked him on the last stream, I said, so clear this up for me. Is it an 8-bit or a 16-bit system? And he said it's an 8-bit system with trickery. And because when you look at it, sometimes you could easily, if you just quickly glance, you could easily confuse some of the graphics and that on them games for an Amiga, I think.
Oh,
it's pretty
totally,
close, isn't it? Yeah. So I would like to have a next, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But
they're still delayed, though, aren't they? On the next, still waiting for chips and stuff. And
I'm trying to remember now. What was it he was saying on the last stream? Can you remember, Scott? Did he say it had been put back further or not? I can't remember.
It's not until next year now, and everything's in place. It's just now with the deliveries and when everything's going to hit the shop floor and be assembled. So they've got the time scale now of next year.
Yeah, I would like to get one. I mean, the thing is, what I've noticed is there's a lot of good games for it, but then there's also some really bad ones, isn't there, Scott? Speed.
Yeah.
What was that other one? You had Speed, and what was the other one you picked up that was terrible? I forget now.
Grelock's Contagion.
Grelock's, that's it. Yeah. I'll tell you,
Awful.
There's a few games I do want to get. And funny enough, again for the Amstrad, but who knows if I'll ever get them now? And that's Galactic Tomb, and what was the second one called?
From the same team, or
yeah.
Then the newish one was Simba Chronicles.
Is that it? Yeah, that's the one that's got is it the Game Over looking cover on it? If I remember right? Yeah.
That's quite good. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like your Amstrad stuff, it's the best time of the year this week. It's CPC Retro Dev Week.
Yeah.
Is.
No. No, I'm new to the Amstrad, so this.
Right. Okay. So CPC Retro Dev every year. It's the yearly game creation contest.
Right. Okay.
So every year, this is like if you're in the Amstrad scene, this is like really exciting. This is the really exciting part of the year. So there's a yearly game creation contest. It's run out of a university in Spain. I think it's the University of Alicante. And it started out as a little actually it's a professor at a university, and he does it as part of a university course, a computing course, and he started out just for his students as part of their coursework. Right. So they the students there have a course where they had to create a game, and he got the students to create it on an Amstrad as part of their coursework.
Right. Okay.
And so it was a competition run between the students to create the best game on, and instead of doing it on a PC, you got the students to create it on an Amstrad, because like the course professor group, that was his computer growing up. He thought it'd be an interesting challenge for his students.
Good idea.
And students really responded to it and really enjoyed it. They thought it was quite a quirky challenge, and became a hit with the students, and the university really loved the idea of it. So the university decided, and the professor, his name's like Francisco Gallego, wherever his name is, decided to just open it up to everyone. So now anyone from in the world can like enter a game. So not only do the students enter their own games, but everyone can. So now coders from all over the world, including some of the biggest like programming teams on the Amstrad scene, like enter games. So not only do you have like some of the big coding teams like what's their names, Pat Morita team, or what's the other big teams? I forget the names anyway. Like C&G Soft, he does like fantastic games, and also the students. So you get a nice mix of some crazy games made by like university students, and some of the great like fantastic games you might see like Shovel Adventure won last year. Did anybody see the Shovel Adventure game? Anyone heard of that one?
Is that the one that plays a bit like Oh Mummy?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's a great game. That was the winner last year. So you get about like 40 new Amstrad games. And this Friday, there'll be like a live stream, and it's run like a Eurovision style thing, where like votes are cast, and you get like live, like the scores will appear on the like a leaderboard type thing, and there's all people like judges and all this kind of stuff, judging on graphics and artificial intelligence and all that kind of stuff. And then there'll be like a prize ceremony, and there's like cash prizes and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, if you're into the Amstrad and stuff like that, by Friday evening, there'll be like 40 new games out there. There'll be a winner, a second place, third place, and all that kind of stuff. And there's usually some really, really impressive games out there. And nice. This year, you can actually play the games early. So if you go on itch.io, there's a whole section for CPC Retro Dev 2022. You can actually go and have a look at some of them right now. And there's some really, really, really good stuff. I think the current favorite is like one called Penguin Attack. You could try this like little penguin, and you're throwing snowballs at like other creatures in the Antarctic and all that kind of stuff. That looks really freaking good. And so, nice. yeah, loads of good. I'm sorry, I'm waffling on, but like it's kind of like really exciting for Amstrad fans this time of year. So I'll be doing a
No.
live stream on Friday evening of all the games on the Am stream. So, yeah, come and check them out then if you want.
That always turns into like a 10-hour stream, doesn't it, on this one?
Oh yeah, yeah, because like nearly 40 games to check out. But it does. There are some quite hilariously bad entries, of course.
Oh yeah, well you know,
Because
that's the fun part, though, right?
Yeah, it's like first year students at uni, like never programmed, never touched or seen an Amstrad before, trying to figure out how to move like a block across a screen.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, what a good idea, though. I mean, because you're introducing these kids to an old system and teaching them how to code on that old system as well. I mean, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
The thing is, though, on that, on that Amstrad homebrew video where I just did, I think something like, I bet it was 40% of it was made up of them, was it? Would have been in that retro dev. Was a lot. There was a lot of them in there.
Fire Tire, I think got number 20 was retro
Oscar.
dev. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any others. I think a couple, maybe a couple more were CPC retro. Oh no, Oscar Z was what was it, number 2?
A few. I don't know if I've got me little spreadsheet.
The Abduction of Oscar Z, that is absolutely stunning. That was OSG did a top 20 homebrew Amstrad game video on his channel recently.
I must have missed that one.
Yeah, the Abduction of Oscar Z got number 2 on his video.
Babba's Palace.
That was stunning, absolutely stunning. Runs at 50 frames per second, full color, into the borders on the Amstrad. Absolutely stunning game.
I'll have to check that video out.
So the ones what were in there were Barber's Palace.
Yeah.
We Adventures of Timothy Gunn was one of them.
Yeah.
And Oscar Z. I think that's it for the
Adventures of Timothy Gunn. You gotta love that title, won't you?
Yeah.
You mentioned that Galactic Tomb earlier on. Is it any good, that?
It looks good.
Yeah, it's a little bit on. It's not the best frame rate, but it plays a little bit like sort of Turrican-y, a little bit run and gun.
Yeah,
and then you got a second level. The third level, you're in a submarine going underwater, so it's got a bit of mixture of different gameplay types later on. So I
really want to play it.
You got it, have you? Nice.
Yeah, see, I want to get it,
but it won't load.
Yeah, that's the problem. See, like with Bitmapsoft, you buy games and sometimes they don't load. But then the other problem also is that you can't actually get any games because they're all marked as sold out. They're moving premises at the moment, aren't they, or something?
Yeah.
So, which is annoying because obviously I've just picked up this Amstrad only a month ago, less than, and a lot of the games that I wanted to get were on there, and I can't get them now. So, hence the reason why I was looking for like a digital solution so that I could download them online. But of course, you can't get that either because all the chip shortage and all that. So I'm kind of snookered at the moment.
Yeah. I physically cannot get this one to load. I've tried it and tried it and tried it and tried it and tried it. It just doesn't come up with anything on the screen.
Well,
really?
From what I've heard, that won't be your end. That will be definitely the tape.
Right.
You've had that problem, haven't you, Scott? And that's
just a bit.
And that's if your games turn up at all, right?
Yeah.
I've tried it both sides. I mean, I've played around with one of the last videos that I did were changing the idler wheel inside the tape deck on Amstrad, and that just does not bring anything up at all. Doesn't matter what I put in it, even if you get an old crappy game that doesn't work, put that in it. It's still, at least it says found block 1. That don't do anything. 0.
I knew this.
I just put the Amstrad in the bin, to be honest.
I knew this would get Marty.
Tape deck could have probably been worth a little bit more.
Yeah.
What you could do, if you go on CPC Power website, they've got the CDT files on there, and you might be able to you can download that and maybe transfer that onto the tape, like just re-record over it.
Do you know if they're analog tapes, a digital signal on Amstrad?
Say that again, sorry.
Is it analog or digital on the Amstrad?
I don't know because I'm a disc guy, so I never really play around with the cassettes. So I would put you. I will put you in touch with someone. Say again, sorry.
Novabug puts them on tapes, doesn't he? He puts stuff on tapes, so he would know.
Yeah, I'll put you in touch with Nish from CPC Power. Sorry, from CPCGameReviews.com. He actually made the CDT file, so actually, funny enough, so he would know.
The only reason why I said that really is because I've got the Ultimate for the 64, and you can record the tapes into them, and then you can rewrite it back to the tape deck. What the Ultimate does, it ups the volume levels on everything. So if I recorded that into it and then played it back and recorded it back to tape, it should be a lot louder.
Yeah, that's sort of the solution I'm thinking of along those kind of lines, but for the Amstrad. But I don't know how you would do it.
I don't know. Commodore's digital. That's all. That's the difference. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% because I've not done it myself. So, but
I wonder if you could do it with something like if you had that, and then you put like you put your USB in, and then you could record it on there. I wonder whether you could do that. I've got some CDT files. Like I might
could do.
I've no more filters.
I've just put Martin's comment up here because Martin at the Hobby Lodge, he's had untold problems with bitmap, and so I knew the minute that got mentioned, like his ears would go up, and there's the comment. He's not had a lot of luck with him. So yeah, it's unfortunate because they do have quite a few good games in there, even for the Spectrum as well. There's some good games for them, but like I say, apparently they're moving premises. Everything just says out of stock, so a lot of these games that I want to get on physical, I can't actually get at the moment. One of them on their sister website, which is Phoenixware, is Pentacorn's Quest. Can't get that. And what was the other specky game which is on the bitmap soft? Space Monsters Meet the Hardy. Is that the one?
I think
that's
so.
The one, isn't it? Yeah.
Rings a bell anyway.
So
yeah.
But then, like I say, I keep hearing these horror stories that people who are buying them, they're not always great. So, yeah, the only one I've bought so far is Alien Girl. And that reminds me, actually, I've got to try that physical tape out to see if I've got the same issue. But
I mean, I've had other stuff off them. I've had discs off them and cartridges and stuff like that, and they've all been perfectly fine.
Yeah, it just seems to be their tapes, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin, never had a good interaction with them. Missing items, corrupted tape, zero communication, months for refunds. Sorry, avoid like the plague. Yeah. Oh, what's Al doing? Sounds like he's digging for a pile of something.
Yeah, no, I was just checking now about some of the items I had. Yeah. I've had a couple of issues of them as well in the past, I think. Yeah.
I mean, Cytronic. Now, that's completely the opposite end of the spectrum. Really good for homebrew. I only once had an issue where a tape was dodgy. It wouldn't load. Contacted them. They said, yeah, no problem. No questions asked. Sent me just the tape because that's all I need, right? I've got the case and everything. Sent me the tape. It was through within 2 days. Worked fine. And they do some really good games. Obviously, it's them that are selling Relentless. So... And there's another one I'm after off them as well for the Amstrad. Not Saber Wolf. What's it called? Saber Star, is it?
Oh, Star Saber.
Star Saber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like a shoot map. Now it looks pretty good.
Yeah, and if you get it as well, Subhunter. It's from the same author who did Star Saber and Relentless.
Funny you say that. I bought that for the C64 because it was before I got the Amstrad. Yeah, I might see if I can pick it up for that and see which one's better. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, we lost Scott. Where's he gone? Because I was just about.
Might be kicking his router or something.
I could be, yeah, because he was saying he was having issues. Where are you, Scott?
Here's a little bit of something from Bitmap Soft. Just skipping back a little bit, but that's the development board for the cartridge for Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, okay. Let's put you in.
I was going to bring it out.
Yes, that's
cartridge.
Right.
But they're going to be limited to about 200, I think it was. 100 on one was silver, which were dark side, and sort of One were dark, and one, obviously the dark side, and the other one was silver, which were the good side.
Yeah.
But I think they pulled that at the last minute because of copyrights and stuff like that with Star Wars and all that lot.
Well,
So it never came out on physical format. They just decided to release it out there for download. But that was going to be the cartridge.
I was surprised when they announced they was going to do that because, I mean, Disney, right? They will hammer you on anything. I was really surprised when they did say, "Oh, we're thinking of bringing out a physical edition." I thought, like, really? Like, you know? And it was literally last minute, wasn't it? That they decided, no, we're not doing it. And yeah, it must have put quite a bit of money into that, I would have thought as well. Don't get me wrong, would have been nice to have had a physical one, but yeah. Right. Okay, guys. I think we're going to wrap this one up. We're at the 2-hour mark. Anybody want to add anything else before we call it a night? Anything coming up on your channels or anything like that? Scott? Anything coming up?
I've been really heavy on the Sega Mega Drive Mini 2.
Yeah,
some great secrets on there, and there's more and more being discovered, which has been really good. But I've got loads of Dreamcast content coming. Not much. I will be putting a Spectrum Spectacular out soon as well because I've had some more players games turn up.
Oh yeah, okay.
But yeah, no, that's what I'm focused on really. It's all Sega, I'm afraid, with me at the minute.
Well, that's not a bad thing. I mean, you're Sega Zombie, right?
Well,
yeah. Steve, what you got coming up on your channel then?
Apart from the SX build, which hopefully that'll be starting next sort of few weeks, and then I know we're running into Christmas, so it might get delayed for that, but I'm going to do my best. A couple of bits. I've got an Amiga, an Atari ST to increase from 0.5 meg to 1 megabyte of memory. So I've got that for a video to do. I've got a 1084S monitor that's sort of lost its horizontal sync. All you've got is the wavy lines going across one way.
Right.
So I need to have a dig into that and have a look at that. So there's a few bits and pieces coming up.
Cool. I'll keep an eye out for it. Al, what you got coming up? I think I know the answer, but yeah, go on.
Well, you can tell I was really excited about the CPC Retro Dev. So CPC Retro Dev Week for the Amstrad community. So tomorrow, Friday, you've got the CPC Retro Dev sort of ceremony and awards show thing. On I don't know which channel that will be on. University Valley can see if anyone can remember that. But then I'll be doing my live stream on my YouTube channel from 9 p.m. of all the Retro Dev games, starting with the winner, then going to second place, third place, fourth place, and all the way down, right down to the very bottom, 36th place or whatever it is. So that'll be a fun one to do as the as we get to the very worst games, because they do get quite funny and seeing how broken they are. But actually, I've actually played for all of them anyway, because I've had to be a judge this year on the graphics. So,
okay.
And there is some freaking brilliant games this year. Anyway, so there's that. I'm gonna jump over to Twitch and do a little live stream anyway. If anybody wants to come and join in on there, we can have a little bit of fun and marbles on stream and play some dodgy music. So yeah, you can find me on Twitch Mondays to Thursdays, and obviously on my YouTubes. Got some Amstrad videos coming up, of course, on my YouTube channel. And I think last thing to mention quickly is there's going to be a retro gaming convention in Nottingham on the 17th and 18th of December. If anyone's interested in coming to that, and it's called the Nottingham Video Game Expo, and I'll be appearing there. Just sort of, I think I might be on a panel. I don't know yet. So thought I'd just give that a quick plug before I go. And yeah, that's the 17th and 18th of December in Nottingham. So if anyone's around there, and
nice little reminder there from It's Much More, I see.
Is he just? Oh, that's good timing. Has he popped in?
Yeah, he's come in. Yeah.
Well, that's good timing. It's Much More. That's who's running it actually.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, there you go. That's good timing.
Yeah.
How you doing, mate? There you go. Getting the plugs in. Yes, that's right, Flip.
Yeah. No, well, that's the point. Point.
That'll please It's Much More. So there you go. It's Much More. I'm getting the plugs in for you, mate. There you go.
Yeah. Well done. Yeah, so I'll have to try and jump on and see these new games. Sounds like it's going to be a bit of a long one for you.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, it might well be. Yeah.
Right, Paul.
So my plans are just like watching Xyphoe every night. That's what I've started doing instead of actually looking after my own channel. Now I have got some stuff. I'm doing video on the best US Gold games because even though US Gold were shit, we did have some good games. So we always flag them off, but there's a handful of games that's good. But then I've sold me soul freaking Raid Shadow Legends. I made this stupid little promo for them, right?
Oh dear.
And instead we wanted 60 seconds, I made one and I sent them it. I sent that one out in the says.
At least it's not Manscaped.
It's far too long. It said, we only wanted 60 seconds. You've done like 3 minutes something, and will you not mention Candy Crush and that in the promo and that? We don't want to hear any other games. And I was like, all right. So I've gone back today and said, I can't be arsed with this. So I'll probably still do it, but I'm just going to do a proper cut down one.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've said I do it. I've signed the stupid contract now as well, which I wish I'd never done. Can you get out of that contract? Does anybody know?
Sold your soul now.
Yeah, that's it now.
Can you just say you don't want to do it, or still? Or what?
I don't know. I mean, how does this thing work? I mean, are they paying you? How does it work?
Not the paying is I. Well, if I get it right, but it's just like
I don't imagine you can then if there's money being.
I haven't had any money. I only get money once it's uploaded, so I don't know.
I don't know.
See what happens. But I've got loads in the pipeline, like. But
yeah, seeing a lawyer sounds like one of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to do stuff. I've got pages and pages of Excel sheets and with like ideas on what I want to do, but it's hard. It's hard to find time since I've become like a football coach and stuff like that. It's like my time is just totally used up. So.
Just in this comment, haha, Manscaped.
Just watching, but then I always have the excuse that I haven't got time. But then, like every night at 9 o'clock, I'm like messing about on Discord, waiting for him to come on, and then I just love watching streams now. That's what I like doing.
Yeah,
I wish I could just step away from YouTube, to be honest.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I like doing it every now and again, but I mean. People like you say, what's your schedule? And I haven't got a schedule. I've got a schedule when I can be asked. That's my schedule when I can be bothered to do it. And
yeah,
you've got to do it when your heart's in it, otherwise.
Yeah, to be honest, that's how I do it. I mean, obviously, I do this stream every month, and we do the Retro 5. But other than that, I don't really plan things. Like if I try to do an 8-bit video of some sort on a Friday, but I mean, this corner. The games corner's in the boys' room. So when he's on holiday, say for example summer holidays or whatever, I can't do videos because I can't get in here. So I can't turf him out of his own room, right? So, and this is a problem of living in a flat, right? This is the issue you have. But for that very reason, like when it comes to summer holidays or half term or whatever, I might go quiet for a few weeks. But that's fine. Like It used to bother me.
I've got some stuff to give away, but I'm giving it away to Patreons. But I'm not going to say, look, become a Patreon, you can have it. I'm going to say this is just locked into Patreons who I've got now, because I feel like guilty towards people who are Patreons to us, even though I do give them a lot. As in, if somebody asks for a video request, I do it like straight away. Do you know what I mean? Not you, Lucas. Just Lucas asks for one every day. But I've got I get sent stuff, so I've been sent a few game boxes and stuff like that, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna review them and then I'm just gonna give them away afterwards to them. I didn't want them. I normally just send them to the likes of Lucas and that anyway. So
yeah. But... Right. So what have I got coming up? Well, I ain't got anything planned. I know we've got the Retro 5 at some point this month. I don't think we've actually settled on a date yet, Scott, have we?
I thought we did the other day. I can't remember.
Oh, I don't know. There's been so much going on. I can't keep track, and I'm tired, so I ain't got a clue. Brain don't work, mate. Honestly. Yeah, I'll have something coming up. I'll tell you what I've kind of been concentrating on a little bit. I've started a collectibles channel because I used to, because I do enjoy my collectibles too. But whenever I tried to put them into this channel, it used to cause me all sorts of problems. So I separated them. And that's now called NG Collectibles. So Nerdy Geezer Collectibles, right? And I've actually been enjoying doing them because I'm mucking about doing silly little shorts like with a marshmallow man that's like 3 seconds long. And I'm just, it's in the shot, I'm holding it. And all I say is, who are you going to call, right? Upload it. Don't think it's going to get any views. I check it an hour later, 3.7 thousand views. It's like, what the hell? Like, what's going on here? I'll spend this time doing these long videos and I could have just done a 3-second clip holding a Kenner Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Like, you know, so I'll be honest, I'm kind of enjoying goofing around on there at the moment. So I will have something coming up over the next week on here, but I'll be honest, I haven't got anything planned. I'll just do whatever I feel like doing. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Yeah.
I hate it when you spend ages on a video and it does shit. Like, it's like a nightmare. Like, especially like long players. I don't know how you manage it every week. It's Xyphoe, and then
every week
when you put them on, we're not like anybody watches them and that, and you're just like, I've spent ages doing that.
Yeah. Oh god, I mean Frost long play. Oh Jesus Christ, it took me a month, and I get like 500 views on it.
Yeah, it's soul destroying though, right? When you do
it keeps patrons happy or the community happy.
Yeah.
So if it keeps 500 people very, 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 very happy, that's what matters. And there's a small but very, very loyal, happy community, and that's what matters at the end of the day. And if it keeps me happy, and it feels more like it's like I'm archiving it. You know what I mean? For the long view. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah.
For your pension.
Pension.
Oh,
Jesus.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. I've enjoyed this last what are we on now? 2 hours, 12 minutes. Wow, that's gone quick. I've enjoyed it tonight, and it's been fun. I'm glad you guys come on. Always good to have Scott and Paul on. Nice to have you on, Steve, and yourself, Al.
Yep.
I know it wasn't easy for us to sort it out, but I'm glad we got there in the end. I've really enjoyed tonight. So yeah,
I
really
think it's good having an Amstrad person on because there's never an Amstrad person on, isn't there?
Yeah.
I've had real difficulty, like literally trying to find people, like so I can get them on because, like you say, it is lacking. You know, when we've been doing the streams, it has been just Commodore and Spectrum. You know,
I think it's a bit like, you know, when people have to go to like Amstrad Anonymous and say, I'm Amstrad owner, and then
I have a problem.
That should be a T-shirt. Amstrad Anonymous. That should be a T-shirt. Right. Okay. On that note, I think we'll end it there, guys. I hope everyone's enjoyed the stream. It's been very busy in the chat. Been lovely seeing everyone commenting in there. It's been really good. Been a nightmare for me to keep up with because I'm knackered, but it's been really good. So, yeah, cheers, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Welcome.
And we have a tradition on here. We have to do this dodgy game show wave as we end the stream. So if we'll do our dodgy game show wave right now, I'm going to run the credits.